Hello. So in this video, I am going to introduce you to one of the 8 pieces of brocade moves called Lightly Swing the Sky Post. And it is one of the simplest, yet perhaps one of the most boring Qigong exercises I know of, but it is also one of the most effective for relieving neck tension. So if you're one of these people like me, who if you let your neck tension and your shoulder tension go long enough, you end up with headaches. I got to a point where I had vertigo, and this was a move that I wasn't expecting to fix this issue, but it did. So even though this is a simple move, we can go right to it, and you may want to fast forward and do that. But I just want to bring a few points out so that you get the most out of this. Because there's a couple simple things that are important to know about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So yes, it is just a move of turning the head side to side. But the first thing I want you to consider is that just because you're moving one part of your body relative to another, to consider all of the other parts that are moving along with that. So in Qigong, we think about moving layers, right? So we're not just moving a body part, and we're not just moving bones, but all of the soft tissue and the layers of soft tissue attached to those parts. So we have muscles, we have tendons, ligaments, we have fascia. So I like to think of the head, the neck, the shoulders, the front of the chest, the upper back, obviously the whole body, but in this case, one continuum, right? So as you turn your head to one side, you are stretching and pulling all of the soft tissue on the other side, all into the front of the chest, and the shoulders, and the back, either direction, right? We're also moving all of the tubes, all of the blood vessels, the nerves, the lymphatic vessels, the lymph nodes, the thyroid, all of these parts are being moved by this exercise in ways that probably many of us don't get so much anymore. I would also posit that we get a lot more colds and flus, not just because of the time of the year and because of close proximity to one another, but because we just aren't looking around and moving our heads the way we would do as if we were in nature, right? We're sitting still, we're staring at computer screens, we're doing everything right in front of us, and we're not massaging organically all of these parts, all of these vessels, all of these things that rely on our movement. So this simple exercise can do tons for so many levels of our health. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what we're moving when we're moving the head relative to the upper shoulders, relative to the shoulders. All right, so a couple of things I want to emphasize again before we start. One will be proper positioning of the head over the shoulders, which I'll talk about before we start the movement. The other is the speed. So this is called swing lightly, swing the sky post lightly. So we're not whipping the head around, and we're not squeezing the neck so much that we're generating too much tension. We are sort of kissing up. I like to say we're kissing up to the boundary of our ability to turn the head. Okay? So you start to feel that, what we call limitation gathering, where you start to feel the tension and maybe a little more, but nothing more that's going to create like discomfort. Okay? We're just going to ease into that boundary from side to side. We're going to move slow. We're going to coordinate the movement with the breath. Inhale to center, exhale to the side, inhale back to center. But the real effectiveness is going to also be in the consistency of doing the practice. As I said early, it's probably one of the most boring movements to do, and you will likely be wandering off in your mind thinking about other things, and that's okay. Just come back to the breath, but it's the ability to do this every day if you can. Not once a week, not once whenever you feel like it, that the cumulative effects are going to be felt only with consistency. So when I started doing this, like I said, it was because I was teaching the class. I had this issue where I couldn't turn my head all the way to the left, and this was going on for months. And like I said, I was also getting vertigo, and I looked up in the shower and all this stuff. And I was doing this every day. And all of a sudden, in the middle of one of the head turns, I felt my shoulder release, and my head kept going. It was the first time in months I could actually look over my shoulder. I was sold, and I just kept doing it because I just loved the feeling of it. And I thought, all right, this stuff actually works. Holy cow! So I just want to emphasize that is really important. So If you're going to do a movement for the month, let this be the movement you start with and get a sense of its miraculousness, its miraculous ability to really generate changes in this area of the body. I think that's it. So let us start. And what we're going to do, I'm going to do 8 repetitions, but if you want to, when you first start doing this for yourself, you want to do it 4 times, but we're going to do 3 sets of 8. Okay, there's different hand positions for each movement. So as we start, our arms are by our sides, and you can do this sitting or standing, but if you're sitting, I want to suggest, and I'll tell you why, I want to suggest that you're sitting at the edge of your chair with something propped under your pelvis, because the importance of this with the positioning is that your head is centered over your shoulders. So if you're already in this rounded position and your head is forward, as you start turning your head, you're going to be shearing and torquing a curved set of vertebrae. So I want to get those vertebrae a little more in alignment. And we're going to do that by ramping that back of the head back up towards the wall behind you and tucking the chin under slightly. And this will help us reposition our ears more over the shoulders. Now, if you have a lot of upper back curvature, that may not be the case for you, but we're going to get a little bit closer and start to bring it back by ramping the head and tucking the chin. And again, if you're sitting, if you're not bolstered under your sit bones, what could happen is that as your tailbone rounds under, your back will start to curl and then your head will be out in front again. So just try to make sure that you can get yourself in a position where your head is in the right place over your thoracic outlet. Okay, so we're going to begin. And as I said, we're going to breathe into the center. And we want to keep our breath just, it doesn't have to be overly dramatic, overly, overly anything. Just natural pace, but somewhat slower if you can. As slow as is comfortable for you. We inhale to center. As we exhale, we begin to turn the head. And we're pivoting on the center line of the head through the center of the skull. And again, just moving only to the comfortable barrier. And if you like here, I'm just going to pause for a second. I won't do this every time, but if you like here, you can also keep your eyes moving in that direction if you want to give a little extra stretch to your eyeballs. Now again, don't overdo it. If you start to see spots or feel dizzy, then maybe you don't want to go that far. But this helps get some of that extra internal stretching and moving going on with your eye muscles. Okay, and then we're going to come back, inhaling to center, and exhaling to the other side. And looking over the shoulder. And inhale. And exhale. Now, if you have some self-awareness or you can see yourself, try to be sure that your shoulders aren't moving. So sometimes when there's a lot of tension in the neck and you're trying to do the exercise as best you can, your shoulders are going to want to follow along with you. So you feel like you're moving further than you are, but then you're kind of defeating the purpose because we're really contacting just this head relative to the upper chest. So this is the beginning of the 3rd set, top of the 3rd inning, I guess as it were. Inhale to center. Exhale to the side. Notice if you're tensing up your shoulders toward your ears, can you let them go? We're just going to do 6 repetitions here. And if you're hearing a lot of crunching, Rice Krispies we call that, don't worry too much. That's fine. That will actually diminish with practice. Moving into the 5th inning here. Inhale, exhale. The only thing you want to back off from is if it's radiating pain of any kind. Little discomfort's okay. But again, as long as we can stay relaxed, Nothing sharp, no sharp pain, and we're not forcing. Heading into the 6th inning here. So it's finding that it's like there's a space there, right? Like a cushion, beginning of the edge of tension, and then the end range of your boundary. And we want to be somewhere in the beginning of that, or somewhere in the middle, but not fully as far as we can go. Is not the point. All right. We'll come back to center, and we're going to do the second set. We're going to change the hand position. So I'm placing my hands on my back, just around where the kidneys are. So this is going to open up the front of the chest, and it was during this one that I had my neck release, my shoulder release. Now, if you have shoulder restrictions and this is not available to you, you can bring your hands maybe behind you, or at least just behind the center line, and pull your shoulders back a little bit. But by doing this, and there's a whole meridian activation that goes along with this too, as this is a Qigong exercise. But what you're also going to notice is that you're putting more tension in the front of the neck and into the upper chest and into the front of the shoulders. Again, making sure that your shoulders, your torso is staying still and flush to the front. Again, just checking in with your head forward posture. If your chin is slightly tucked under, it's not like way out in front of your body. Coming into center, top of the third. You may feel that pull depending on what's going on with your arms and shoulders, all the way into your upper arm. I know I am on my left side. That's always been my, as I like to call it, the junk drawer side. I think this is 3. We'll call it 3. Inhale to center, exhale to the side, 4. Remembering all of those layers, all of the different cells that are being squished, all the different tubes that are being compressed, massaged. I didn't talk about the meridians in Chinese medicine and shiatsu. We have these pathways of qi, many of which run through the neck, head, upper body. I think this is 5. You can't really, well, I shouldn't say you can't do too many. You probably could do too many, but it is more effective if you don't do too few. I think 4 is a good number to start with and work up to 8. So I'm going to call this 6. All right, and we'll come back to center, the in-breath. We'll pause here. Now you can do this seamlessly once you know the moves, but I'm going to pause here. I'm going to bring the hands to the front. So in the Qigong style, our fingertips are not quite touching. Everything's loose and soft, and there's a bit of space between the arm and the torso. But we want to bring the shoulders into round a little bit, which probably isn't that hard to do because most of us are already in that positioning. But again, keeping the chin tucked under, our shoulders slightly rounded, and now we're going to be getting the back of the neck and into the upper back, spine, shoulder blades. All right, so inhale to center. Slow exhale to the side. Hopefully, you're noticing if you had any kind of tension in your neck, that it's getting a little easier the more you do them. It's not to say that you can't experience some immediate relief, some opening, some loosening, some clearing of the brain a little bit. But for longer lasting changes, I really do encourage you to try this every day, at least most days. And try it for a month. Make it a 30-day challenge for yourself and see what happens. See how it affects your sense of grace and ease, your sinuses, who knows, all kinds of stuff, right, are dependent upon this kind of movement. And it's slow and gentle enough that we don't run the risk of wrenching anything. Like sometimes when we have chronic neck tension, all of a sudden you turn your head quickly to one side or the other, and now you have an issue, right? Spasm, that wonderful pulled muscle in the back of your tongue. Remember those? You might also notice, and I have no idea what number I'm on here, I'm going to say this is 4. You might also notice that if you have discomfort with your pillow, at night, that this may help. You know, we talk about waking up with a crick in the neck because we slept wrong. So this is 6. I'm not sure where we are because I was talking, but we'll call this 6. Maybe it's 5. But let's go to one side. Come back to center. Inhale, and just release slowly, and just pause for a moment before you run to the next thing, and just notice how you feel. Maybe think about lifting your head up slightly, as though by a string at the top of your head, and just imagine elongation in your neck. Sometimes my neck feels longer after doing something like that. All right, so that is my swinging lightly exercise, and I hope you experiment with that and enjoy it and have wonderful, life-changing results. Thank you for watching.